Hey everybody, Matt Mullen here. It's Hat Day, and you know what? Hat Day always makes me think about email. It really does.
I
Um,
missed the memo.
no, well, it probably doesn't strike as much email thoughts as it in you as it does in me. So it might just be a hat thing for me. But everybody, this is Melissa Lambert. She is deliverable.
I know.
What are you? Deliverability expert extraordinaire at Kit. And
That's my exact title, actually.
I invited Melissa to join me today to talk about something that's happening literally right now. Um, I'm going to let her tell you all the good news. For me, it's a little, you know, it is what it is. It's kind of meh, honestly,
Yeah.
because I was used to the Postmaster tools that, spoiler alert, they're going away, they're being replaced, and that's what Melissa's going to tell us about. So I was used to that, and I need Melissa to walk me through it. I have fragile mental state right now, and so Melissa, this is a very important job that you have today. So what I thought that we'd do, Melissa, if it's okay with you,
Yeah.
I know you don't have a lot of, you don't know everything about it just yet because it's just coming out just now, like right now.
Yeah, it's so the kind of TLDR is that Google is deprecating the old Postmaster dashboard, the one we are all so used to using daily. At least I use it daily. And they are going to be coming out with a new dashboard. The new dashboard has been accessible for a while now, but there's going to be some changes and they're pretty big. They feel really big to a lot of us. And I'll just say the two biggest things that I think are changing about the new dashboard, there will no longer be a domain reputation dashboard, and there will no longer be an IP reputation dashboard. I also have mixed feelings about this. I think a lot of us do, who are in this space because at least my job, I'm helping creators move over to Kit. I'm also helping people who have been sending from Kit for a long time. And we use the domain reputation dashboard to see generally trends of how people are doing when we give them action items to either improve their deliverability or maybe they're a new sender. Those have been really helpful in the past. That's going away. So yeah, we're all a little bummed about it, but this feels reminiscent of kind of the whole Yahoo Goal movement. So if we all remember a couple years ago, that was a whole big email shift in the industry, and this is something that I think Google has been planning for a while, but because they've had access to the new dashboard, but now they're finally saying, okay, we're making this change officially. So I can show an example of what the new dashboard will look like. I'll share my screen.
Great. While you're pulling that up, just two quick things. Number one, I know that you have a bias toward your company, Kit, but
Yes.
what we're talking about today is related to just email in general, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So everything you're going to be sharing is
Yes.
this is not Kit specific.
No. Sorry. Nope, not Kit specific. It's just a great tool for anyone in email who is, you know, doing any kind of bulk sending. So you have to be sending enough mail to be able to receive this data, and you have to have your domain verified to receive this data. But I feel like it's become quite a normal practice for a lot of people these days. So it's probably not surprising to most larger senders, even, and I say large, medium, small bulk senders.
Okay.
Um, this is our Kit domain. So I'm showing this. This is the compliance status dashboard. This is, I don't want to get too in the weeds, because honestly, Gmail's description of these tabs isn't the most robust. Um, and so I don't want to get too in the weeds on that. But if you are looking at the new dashboard and you see green check marks next to every single tab, that is a good thing. If you see an X next to any of these, that means there's something you need to look into. And I would say this is just kind of a guess, but generally speaking, my guess would be if you have anything that's going to have an issue, it's likely going to be SPF and DKIM authentication, DMARC, user reported spam. Those are the ones that you are likely going to see issues with. If you're using, like sending from an ESP, the rest of these things are likely taken care of for you because you're sending through an ESP. Um,
Meaning, just to be clear, if you're
yeah.
sending through Kit, Flowdesk, MailerLite,
Yep.
MailChimp, Constant Contact,
Yep.
ActiveCampaign, an email service provider, these under the compliance status are most likely going to be green. And if they're not, contact your ESP.
Reach out to your ESP. Yep. Um, the one that I would pay close attention to though as a sender. So yes, a lot of these, like for example, one-click unsubscribe. If you're sending through an email service provider, that should be something that they are doing within their infrastructure. But for this is going to be the big one that I think senders can really own, and that is spam, user reported spam rate. So this was in the old dashboard. It's going to continue to be just as important as it was before, and the threshold is the same. So 0.3% is what you need to keep like in your head. If you are seeing spam rates above 0.3%, there is a problem and you need to look into it. Um, if you're not sure where to start, you could also reach out to your email service provider for that information as well. But that is not different from what the recommendation was with the old dashboard. So that is something that a lot of senders can own themselves. And then everything else can be a little complicated. So I would definitely recommend before you go in and make changes to anything, because you want to make these check marks green if they are red. Before you go in and start pulling on different threads, I would make sure that you get a second look from someone who's working at your ESP to ensure that you don't cause other issues.
Okay. It just occurred to me as we were talking, I was so excited to dive in. There's there's a couple of I took for granted a couple of things. Number one, we are talking about Google's Postmaster tools. If you don't have an account set up, then you don't have any previous bias.
Yeah,
So so you're coming at this new and use this as your signal to go get signed up. You see it here on the screen, postmaster.google.com, and follow the steps and your domain name that you send from. So if I send from Matt at emailcrush.com, my domain name is emailcrush.com. We're going
yes,
to have Google Postmaster Tools will be tracking emailcrush.com. Um, and then secondly, the other term that we're throwing around quite a bit is verified sending domain. We don't have time to get into that here on this call, but if you have questions about what that is, well, that's a quick chat GPT query. It's a quick look at Kit or MailChimp or whoever you're working with. They have
Mhm.
information on it. Send me a note and I can point you in the right direction if need be. All right. Keep it.
I have a quick like pro tip. If you have not set up Google Postmasters yet, make sure when you add your domain that you do not use www in front of your domain. That causes a lot of people issues. So it's just your domain name. Cool. Okay, so I wanted to talk about if you are, and again, I don't want to go, we don't need to go through all of these. I think if you have questions, ChatGPT is a great place to start or reference Google's their guide on the new dashboard and what each section means. And then obviously if there are issues, if you're seeing something, like I said, reach out to your ESP so that they can help you troubleshoot. But something I wanted to talk about is if you are using Google Postmaster Tools and you've been relying on domain reputation heavily, like we all have, then what things can you look at in order to, I'm going to stop sharing my screen too so we can look at something else. Um, but what things can you look at now as signals? So let me start with we had a bunch of changes happen a couple years ago. Because of those changes, we wanted to start having everyone use Google Postmaster Tools. That was the recommendation. It gave us a lot of insights. So now people are asking, okay, well, if the dashboard of domain reputation is going away, what can we look at now to ensure that we have good deliverability? Like what things are going to like move the needle? And really, those things haven't changed. So even though we pushed on people setting up Google Postmaster Tools, we always kept like the basics the same. So is your mail wanted? Did you collect your subscribers through a permission-based way? Um, are you cleaning your list often enough? Are you paying attention to your subscriber signals? All of those things have been the same this whole time. We just were able to use a better data point in order to see how all of those played into deliverability. But I've been saying the same thing for 5 years. It hasn't changed. Um, does that help? Kind
Yeah,
of, yeah.
it does. The basics are still fundamentally
Yes.
be a responsible email sender
Mhm.
and collector, and you're probably going to be fine. The reason I've used domain reputation in the past is um, it was like the only way that we knew at all what Yahoo or Google or whoever was thinking about emailcrush.com as a domain name that sent emails.
Mhm.
And so, and sometimes we wonder, is something going into the spam folder or in, somewhere that we don't want it to go
Right.
because they think poorly of us for some reason,
Right.
something that wasn't thinking of.
Right. And I think where we need to shift our thinking now that we won't have, and also just to be clear, this is all new. So we're talking about this, but Gmail has said they might add other things to this dashboard. I don't know what that means. I don't think anyone really has an idea yet. So I'm not saying they're going to add domain reputation back, but there could be some other data point that would be helpful. But what we know right now is that they're still going to have spam rate. They're still going to have the complaints, which is really important. Delivery errors can be something to look into. But compliance, from the way that Gmail is viewing it, it's all of those things are contributing to your reputation. And if you were watching the domain reputation dashboard, there were times where I would be working with a client, they would have a high domain reputation and they would still see some spam filtering. And that's because there are so many other things going on that affect your overall domain reputation. And I don't think Gmail was necessarily adjusting the domain reputation based on all of those other things. So I actually think this is just a hypothesis and I have no concrete evidence that this is true, but it feels like Gmail wants to get rid of domain reputation because they want senders to be paying attention to all those other things and not just focused on this one data point, which they have very clearly said, this is a data point, this is not set in stone.
Okay, good to know. So I think maybe to put a bow on this, what most of my students, clients, friends that are watching this, they
Mhm.
probably check it once in a while, if it ever. This may be the only time they've even heard about it or thought about it for a very
Yeah.
long in a long time. So if we were to just, put this into a nutshell for people,
Mhm.
are, what I'm hearing you say, you tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Probably the advice that we want is we're going to want to check this regularly,
Mhm.
but it doesn't have to be all the time. So maybe quarterly, if everything's going swimmingly otherwise.
Yeah.
Everything seems to be fine. Check it quarterly. Check your green check marks on the compliance. Is there
Mhm.
anything else that they should eyeball real quick?
I think looking through all of the dashboards quickly, you'll be able to tell if there's a significant issue.
Okay.
And if there is, like I said, and you're not sure what to do, reach out to your ESP. Um, Yes, I think the graphs are helpful, and they're pretty good at showing you like what the rate should be and what is happening. So you'll be able to tell like if there's a bunch of spikes on spam complaints, that's something that you need to look at. So yes, I think monitoring each dashboard can be helpful, but don't spend all of your time constantly looking at those things. Pay more attention to like the emails you're sending to your subscribers.
And your children. That's
Yes.
just my advice.
Yes.
Um, so are there any of those? We totally skipped over all the other screens. Are there any of them that we need to know? Or are they so in the weeds at this point and it's so obvious when you get in there that um, people watching this can figure it out this gets released to them?
The reason I don't want to get too into it is because though, for example, delivery errors, there are things outside of your ESP that could cause a delivery error. For example, if your domain is being used maliciously. And that's why I don't want to get too into the weeds
Got
because
it.
that's a whole nother topic. So I guess that's why I'm saying if you're a good sender, if you are following best practices for deliverability, it's unlikely that you will see tons of problems in all of those dashboards. For the most part, when I go in and look at a healthy sender, those dashboards, they all look normal. And like I said, you'll be able to tell when there are large spikes in their problems. Um, and that would be a really good time to reach out to an expert because some of those dashboards are a bit more complex in how they pull that data in.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to walk us through it. You have right in front of you watching this some of the most powerful, influential, most talented, best looking emailers in the whole world watching this right now. Do you have any
That's a lot of pressure.
last pieces of advice for
Um,
that group?
I always like to bring it back to like we've kind of said this already, but like basics of deliverability to remember that there are people on the other side of the email. That is something that I like to bring up a lot because when we see deliverability issues, there can be technical things that go wrong. There can be things that are out of the control of the sender. But a lot of times, the deliverability issues that we see have everything to do with strategy and how people contact their list. So if you can remember that there's someone on the other side of the email, that kind of like brings us back to basics. And I think that's always really helpful.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Melissa. Everybody thanks you. My hat thanks you. Thanks again.
Thank
All
you.
right.